What is the best way to protect the wielder of this magnificent sword?
As you would protect anything you care for. You must make them your beacon of hope and do everything you can to protect them.
I noticed that when I handed you the hilt of that sword, it burned you. Are others plagued with the similar curse affected by silver like that?
We have willingly damned ourselves to live eternally in strife with the devil. It is our own choosing that we fall in line with those most horrific creatures of the dead.
And what of Strahd's minions, such as the humans that can transform into wolves? Do you know anything about them?
We have battled his werewolves for many generations. They die easy enough, but there is always more.
Are they affected by silver like you are?
Why do you think that I am affected by silver?
I just from the pure just perceiving when I handed you the silver handle that it seemed you dropped it and seemed to burn your skin.
That is a holy object. It is made of platinum.
Okay. You don't by any chance have any holy weapons or weapons that will give us, yeah, holy weapons within the walls of Argynvostholt.
We were never aware that there was one. I think it is doubtful to find that there might have been two.
I have a question for you as well, if you don't mind. We have traveled throughout much of the lands, explored much of it as well, but on the map, we noticed that if you were to continue south past Argynvostholt through the mountains down the river, there's another set of mountains all the way in the southern portion of Barovia, and there appears to be a road or a path that leads to them, but we've not found anyone that travels these lands much at all, nor even a reference to this area. Are you familiar with it?
You may have missed me speaking of the Amber Temple. It lies high in the mountains. But this is the reason that Argynvost first came to begin his watch over these lands. There is ancient power in those temples.
I do remember you mentioning that Amber Temple, but I don't know anything about it, and that's the first we heard of it. Is there a civilization there? People? What lies there?
Few who partake in life can remember such things. Those who tread that ground quickly find themselves consumed. I see you have already bargained for your soul, and you have perhaps made the ill choice to sell it for life. But that is the nature of the temple. Your soul, your freedom, or great temporary power.
I see. I'm sure perhaps when the time is right, we will have to venture there as well. But unfortunately, I was new to these lands and presented with an opportunity to return to life at the cost of my soul, and I I had a choice and I made it.
As have we all. And he just kind of like bows his head a little bit. You can surely see that he's not judging you. This is the nature of Barovia. And he's kind of acknowledging that even the entirety of the Silver Order has fallen. And that was their entire goal as the Knights of Argynvost, was to stand guard against it. And they all bought into it.
Word up. I remember him mentioning the Amber Temple, but didn't quite get what was going on there. So I kind of wanted to dig a little on that. So that's what's up.
I got one last question.
One moment, wait. Yeah, on the level of the Amber Temple, there's literally like next to nobody who you can talk to about it because they're all dead. And that's where the Order of the Silver Dragon comes in, because they're all dead. They all know about it. What were you thinking, Eric?
Well, I was going to ask, this was my last question on role playing. I summon my rapier and show it to him. And I go, will this weapon suffice in defending the damned creatures of fighting the damned creatures in this land? Or by chance do you have any weapons in your armory that could aid us?
Isn't your weapon just that you can summon it? That's like all?
Yep. Can't do anything else with it. It's just a regular rapier.
It will help you defend others in the same way anything will help you defend.
All right.
If you would like to join the Order of the Silver Dragon, you can gain the powers that you wish, but you must give up your life. And among the first things, your head.
I'm good for now.
Nunya, do you have any questions?
No, she's just looking around, rocking on her feet.
Gotcha. So if I can, let me have all three of you roll 3d6. How would you all like to head back towards Vallaki?
Do you guys want to try to go the same way we came? Do you want to take like the dotted path along the river?
What do you think is along the dotted path on the river?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we traveled that way once before a while ago. It's like sort of like semi. It's not really like that bad. I just don't know how much time we actually saved. I feel like it was like semi like boggy kind of, but overall, I feel like it was pretty easy to travel.
I mean, we can go that way if you want, if it cuts down in time to get back to Vallaki.
Yeah, I think it's probably slightly shorter. So if we want to go that route, we can.
Well, cutting through the forest is actually the shortest route.
Wait, what do you mean? Like going northwest and then cutting off like that little nub like we did on the way here?
Just more like taking like a straight diagonal through the forest to like where the path is more of a road.
Oh yeah. I mean, it makes sense just to like basically go to like the path slash river and then just go north. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That way or the way we came.
Those are the two different ways that you all have done this already.
So yeah, we'll just go the first way along the river since they haven't gone that way and I have. So I'll just kind of like show them the way, I guess. I don't know.
So you're leading.
I mean, I'll like lead from the middle or the back. You know, I like instruct you to like lead us. I'm not real good with you know, directions and whatnot, but I mean, I remember the way.
I'll go first. I have a feeling that Nunya should be in the middle to ensure protection because she is the one with the sword of light or sun sword or whatever it's called.
Sunny. She named it Sunny.
Fantastic.
So, as you all walk for the next few hours, heading back towards the River Luna, and then diverting yourselves back to the north and following your way towards the Old Svellich Road, as the road itself starts to come into view, you're going to see that there is a black wagon sitting right before the actual bridge over towards Vallaki, and you will see a familiar face of Rahadin sitting on the front of the wagon, and he will kind of nod to you all at a distance and step off of the wagon and, "Welcome, friends. It seems you are busy. My lord would like to Ask your attendants in Ravenloft.
We are quite busy indeed. What is this in regards to, and when did you have in mind?
I think you know quite well to deny his desires comes at a high cost. When do you think he has in mind, if I am here now?
Of course. And I don't suppose you could tell us what this is in regard to? Perhaps returning Sophia to us?
I think you will find that the girl is quite happily at home. Or you could simply return a small book, a gesture of good faith.
Particular book, or can you please elaborate so I know we're on the same page?
A particular book that does not belong to you.
We have found, scavenged many things in these lands. I, you said small book.
You try my patience. Would you like to return Strahd's book to me?
in lieu of a trip to Ravenloft. Is that what you're?
If you have no interest in returning to Ravenloft, a token gesture is a good way to allay any issues that might come about from being thieves in a land where you are becoming quickly unwelcome.
I we it's not that we don't want to go to Ravenloft. It's just that we have some things to do in the meantime. And as you mentioned, Strahd is he's not used to not getting what he wants when he wants it. So if perhaps a token, and I'll just kind of like look to them.
If it's better than going to Ravensloft, I don't see any issue with the token, but
I mean, not that we're not in danger out of character, obviously. Not that we're not in danger like all the time, but I don't know if it's the best idea for us to go to Ravenloft right now. And as far as I know, the Book of Strahd, which I'm assuming is what he's talking about, is only like knowledge. But from what I understand, it doesn't actually have any specific power to it. So having already like read it pretty thoroughly, I I don't know if it's sort of like a best idea to buy time by giving it to him versus going there and him probably just taking it from us, or not going there and then him probably just showing up.
I mean, I agree. The less until we are this is out of care until we are ready, I don't think it is wise to go and talk to Strahd.
What you
Your
think, AP?
decision.
Oh, sorry.
I think we'd be okay to hand the book over.
Do we know any, like out of character, DM? Do we know anything about the book as far as like actual power, or is it just knowledge as far as we know?
No, I think you've got the right idea. That's a terrible hill to die on.
And when he says small book, obviously the book is gigantic to me, but I'm also very small. But it's safe to assume he's talking about the Tomb of Strahd.
I think it's safe to assume that I ad-lib everything. So saying small was an accident.
Okay. Well then, yeah, if we agree then, I will, like, assuming you guys give me the nod when I look to you, to like the nod, yes?
I nod.
Nod.
Okay, I will like take my pack off, kind of like move some stuff around for a minute, pull a couple things out, like kind of put them on the ground, and then I will pull out the very, very large and very old Book of Strahd, and I will hold it up and put my head down and offer it to Rahadin. A token of a gesture of our intent.
Excellent. Might I ask, you are so busy that you cannot attend a dinner at Raven. Where might you be heading?
It's not that we couldn't attend a dinner at Ravenloft. It's just that, well, we've intentions to see Strahd again, but we're hoping to accomplish a few things before then. So, in the meantime, we were headed back to Vallaki.
Delightful cities. Their renovations have gone quite well. Do you need assistance in attending to Vallaki?
You would give us a ride there?
All the servants of Strahd, whilst in his good graces, can surely benefit from those things he offers.
I'll look to them again one more time, kind of shrug my shoulders and do like a yeah nod.
I don't know. I don't know.
Rahadin can be trusted. He's never given us a reason not to, and he's transported us before and kept his word. So I don't see why not. It would save us some time. So
Well, as long as you're sure.
where are we currently located right now?
Effectively at the crossroads.
Like right by the bridge.
Yep.
We are already so close to Vallaki. Well, we could just we're fine. We can just walk the rest of the way, but we appreciate your offer. Think that if you got this back to your master sooner, that would be just fine, and we could find our way home.
That is acceptable. Would you mind if I walked with you?
I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be acceptable for a conversation or to keep us safe or just go in the same way. Any particular reason?
It is a dangerous land. It would be a shame if one of you were to have your throat torn out by a wolf or some other beast that cannot be controlled. He's just gonna dead eye stare into Sarkis's eyes as he says that.
You never seemed particularly fond of us. That's the only reason I ask. Could have used your comfort as protection not too long ago, as you may have noticed that my companions are different now. We've lost many along the way.
Perhaps sometimes the cards that you ignore are the ones plain in front of your eyes. Say that you are an ill-chosen path.
Can say that again. I obviously haven't been making the best decisions to end up in Barovia to begin with, but we can walk and talk. I don't see any reason not to.
So he's just gonna clap one of the horses on its butt and just start walking with you all. Sending the carriage on ahead. Just kind of silently, step after step. After some time, he's just gonna kind of cozy on up close to Nunya and look down to you. How have you been finding your new home?
Well, not much different than what I'm used to.
Have you found your lord welcoming?
Well, I never met him, but I'm sure he's just busy.
You could simply attend his dinner. Maybe it's you who is busy?
Well, my companions are certainly busy, which makes me busy. But I'm sure he's also busy because he's a lord. So I'm sure he has his own duties as a ruler. Now he doesn't need to see a peasant like me.
People to kill, sheep to eat. As you all walk past the route down towards the Grey Elves and the Vistani, you'll see as Rahadin kind of looks down to the south. We are getting close to your Alakai. And you, errant son, how do you find the world away from your father's grasp?
Uh, seems all brand new to me, but whatever keeps me out of trouble and out of the eye of people watching. I just go along my merry way, just continually learning about this land and what it has to offer.
Tell me, what have you learned about this land while you go about busily defying your lord?
Well, there's where do I even start? I mean, there's so many trees around here. I didn't even know what a tree was until I stepped out.
So I'll walk up to the gates of Vallaki and see some of the guards. Raha ad-Din's just going to wave his hand to the side. We will be entering Vallaki. And the doors are going to slowly swing open. Tell me, friends, where in Vallaki do we need to go?
Sark is gonna like do one of those like loud gulps and say, you're coming with us, are you?"
Are you not enjoying my company as much as I enjoy yours?
I was under the impression I enjoyed your company more than you enjoyed mine, but that's fine, I suppose. We were going to see the noble.
Intriguing. Well, perhaps I can escort you so far, and I will bid you adieu. Or surely you have better things to do than to dine with your lord.
Different things to do. But I'm sure before long we'll run into each other again. Can I insight check him to see? Is he just like reconning us, like trying to feel us out, or does he know, like that we got something from the Argynvostholt?
You can roll an insight check.
I guess my main goal is to figure out: do I think that he knows that we have the holy blade?
So, think overall, you'll have a pretty solid suspicion that the magic of Strahd's name might be partly in effect as to why you all are currently being escorted by Rahadin, which may also include that they know about the Sword of Sunlight. I feel like I vaguely mentioned, maybe it was talking to you individually last week, that you all don't fully understand why some people are able, or rather willing, to use his name, but that there was a certain level of people who have been his enemy for some centuries probably use his name rather regularly, and are perhaps something that can be ignored a little bit more readily. But the name of Strahd was exchanged in conversation in Argynvostholt quite a few times. And I think beyond that, you would have some understanding that he's certainly prying around the group, kind of looking to see where the new lines have been drawn. He's alluded to the fact that you all are stepping out of bounds. So I feel like it's probably in the realm where you could understand at least a little bit of perhaps he's thinking about the sword itself. But it's also not necessarily something that is like clear just to kind of feel out with him either. So with the fact that that's like purposefully vague, does that sound about what you're getting at?
Yeah, I think that's about what I was going for. I mean, obviously, I don't think I want to mention uh, the Huntress or anything if he didn't bring it up. And then obviously, he made it clear they were there for the book and that Strahd wanted us to come see him. But we're obviously trying to avoid that at this time. So, yeah, I think that's probably good for me.
So you all can continue this awkward walk down the streets of Vallaki. The occasional person who actually looks up to see is certainly going to quickly drop their head back down. And it is kind of apparent that this is not a regular thing for Rahadin to be seen, and a lot of people don't want to be seen by Rahadin in turn. But eventually, walking you all through town, Rahadin will see you to Vasily's, and kind of standing outside the front door, he will watch as you all enter. No, just knocking on the front door. You entering into the front door. What are you thinking?
Oh, yeah. I just go to the front and knock.
So after a few moments of silence, you'll hear from back at the street. Perhaps then you are free to attend your dinner.
I'm gonna like knock like more rapidly and harder.
I'm just gonna turn the knob and see if it's open.
You can open the door and actually walk inside, and pretty quickly, like from the entry portico, you all will see those double stairs that lead off to the east and to the west of Vasily's home. Again, this is a like fine wooden banister. There's like hunting scenes carved into like a wood. I don't know. It's almost like a facade that kind of trains above kind of the waist high as these hunting scenes kind of continue around the house in this little entry area. And you'll pretty quickly see Vasily is actually heading towards the door, coming down the stairs from the northern or the western staircase. And he'll kind of look over to Sarkis and hello, welcome, friend. It has been some time. It's good to see that you are well.
Oh, yes, I'm so glad you're here. Sorry, we were a little hasty to enter, but I. Uh, this is Nunya and Eric, my new companions, my trusted friends, family, you could say. This is the noble Vasily.
It's a pleasure to meet you both. Welcome to my home. What can I do for you? What are your desires?
I don't know if you know who Eric is, uh, but we need to. We would like your assistance to get into Krezk if you could.
Do you need entry? I can potentially do such things. I believe I am due to attend to Krezk late in the month, around the new moon. I think the 2nd or the 3rd.
So do we know like how long from now that is?
It's like 8 days. You guys are looking at I think it's Tesyadek, Egyadek.
I don't mean to be pushy, and you've been nothing but a great asset, ally, friend to us, to me. But we're sort of pressed for time, and I'm gonna kind of like switch my head towards the side and maybe like walk over towards the window and try to like peek out and see if Rahadin's still there.
I roll a perception.
Did we ever shut the door?
It's as good as assumed on some level. So you can look out and you see through like the leaded windows, like through kind of the distortion of it, that it seems Rahadin is walking down the street and is effectively like crossing the next path as he heads off to the west or to the east.
Oh, good. He makes me uncomfortable. Uh, Eric is the son of the abbot, and we we need to get back in there and need to do it as discreetly as possible. He is wanted.
One of the children has. You should find your entry easy enough. You need me to sneak him in?
He left on bad terms and fears that returning his life would be in jeopardy, if not his freedom, at least. So we were hoping that perhaps we could you could get us in discreetly.
Yeah, perhaps I can help you there. I could easy enough write you a letter of introduction. I don't normally travel with a large amount of equipment or anything to smuggle peoples in through the gate.
If you think it would work, I've never been, and from what I understand, from what Eric has told us and others, it's difficult to gain entry, and with the exception of wine, it's nearly impossible.
Wine barrel is what she's really just gonna say.
And when he mentioned the word, when he said children, Eric's skin is just like goosebumps. Like you can see like shivers down his spine, kind of thing. That's what he's feeling.
So, a letter of introduction to find your way into Krezk. It, as I understand, is rather difficult to acquire wine. If I understand correctly, the Blue Water Inn has run dry. It has been some time since I've been into Barovia, but I believe they are in a similar circumstance. Sadly, the Martakovs have nearly been wiped out.
Indeed, we heard similar. We had secured a barrel of wine and were potentially going to use it to get in, but became distracted, diverted our path, and well, we'd rather leave it for the people if possible, but they did offer it to us. We could take it if it would help, but we were hoping to leave it for them and gain your help instead.
How urgent is this that you were distracted from your goals?
It's hard to tell exactly where we're meant to be or what we're meant to do, and the order. It seems there are many things pulling us in many directions, and we've not made the best decisions. My companions have all fallen, and I'm, I'm at least partially responsible.
Perhaps you ask too much of yourself. Enjoy the life that you have. Stop drawing yourself into pieces. We should enjoy life ourselves. Come, we will enjoy at least some amount of friendship and delicious, delicious treats. And he'll walk you all over to that kind of northwestern room that's just an open, uh, larger room. Table can sit kind of like 8 or so people. Bunch of ornate seats. Um, Big, beautiful, like dark wooden, uh, like adornments around things. And then basically like the large front window that overlooks the street heading through Vallaki, as well as then like two kind of big um, uh, paintings of like hunting scenes. And he'll excuse himself for a moment before coming back sometime later with some platters, both like sweet treats as well as a little bit more savory things, and kind of sit down, pouring a glass of wine for everybody. He'll kind of sit with you all and enjoy some of the treats. You're finding yourself drawn between too many things. Maybe you could find some pleasure avoiding the toils of this world. Having lost your friends, perhaps it is time to acknowledge that life is not all about the things that you feel you must do, and you must learn to slow down and enjoy what you have.
But we can't. We can't slow down. There's the sands of time are drawing to an end, and others' safety could lie in our hands. And I just don't know if I could bear it if I felt responsible for another one of my friends, my family's demise. And now that the devil has Sophia, there's other pending matters as well. We still need to find. Um, when I say this next part, I'm gonna look at him to see like what his reaction is. Um, to try to feel him out. Uh, we we still need to find. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. What's the book guy's name?
Orlando? Is that
Yeah, the other name. Van Richten. We still need to find Van Richten.
So roll an insight check. This is an unfamiliar name to me. Is this one of your other friends?
Yes, a friend, an ally. Um, he has helped us. Not too many have, but he left recently, and we don't know where he's gone. That's that's why we're headed to Krezk to hopefully find him. You 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 don't know that name?
I have met many people in my travels, and often people of note, sometimes lesser folk. It does not seem familiar. Have I met them with you?
He's not with us, but he is long for this land. He perhaps you know him by a different name or by his wagon. Now like ask about Rictavio's wagon of wonders.
How are you describing the wagon?
Uh, colorful like Vistani wagon that said Vistani looking wagon that says Rictavio's wagon of wonders on it or whatever. And like pretty good like description of the colorfulness and like whatnot. A pretty accurate description, I think, as best I could.
I have no such recollection of this wagon. Maybe if he put on a show here in Vallaki, perhaps I was on the road when he visited. I always miss the good things. It's difficult to be in all places at once. But that is my lot in life. My job, my duty, is to visit and attend to the other towns. I must miss such things. You see, as he just kind of drops his head a little bit, takes a sip of wine.
I know that you've mentioned that you, you sort of do your own thing, but you you must know that we don't have the favor of the devil. We've tried to stay on his good side as best we can, but you must know that there could be repercussions for helping us. But you still help us nonetheless. Why?
I have found my family rides a gray line between helping and making things more difficult. Perhaps you see things otherwise. I don't know. Have I really done anything to hinder, help, or otherwise change any of your lives? I brought you into Vallaki when they closed the gates on you. I have fed you. We have enjoyed friendly conversation. This is my job. This is my duty. And we have served the Lord of these lands for many a generation under these same duties.
Perhaps it doesn't seem much to you, but granting me, my friends at the time, entry when all else was lost, when we were tired and had no more resources, you probably saved our lives from the wolves. And many times since then, you have aided us, given us a place to stay, invited us into your home. You have done much for us, for me, and for that I am grateful.
And perhaps that is why my blood is noble. But you need not owe me anything. I have done very little to require anything from yourselves. I only help how I can, where I can, with what I can. And I do not believe your lives were nearly as in danger as perhaps you thought that day. When often your safety is as simple as calling to the Lord, and he can calm his beasts. Doesn't always have to be so difficult.
I suppose in hindsight, I hadn't really thought of it that way. We've been trying to avoid his ire as best we can. But what of the last favor, the most recent one? What if what if the abbot discovers that you have helped us get into Krezk, and that his son, that Eric, is amongst us. Do you not fear that they will deny you, or worse?
The abbot has been shut up into his abbey for some time. The burgomaster of Krezk is who much of my duty is to. Do you need entry into the abbey or into Krezk?
I suppose into Krezk would be more than sufficient. From there, I think it would be up to us where we can get. I we're not even sure why we need to go there. We're hoping to find our friend, the one that we spoke of, but there's there's becoming less and less paths for us to travel down before we know the inevitable end.
He'll collect up a map and come back to the room, and he'll kind of push some of the food off to the center of the table as he sits back down at the head and kind of rolls out this map. And if you are looking for entry into Krask, I don't believe that will be any trouble at all. But if you begin to head further and further up towards the Abbey, you have to climb some height into the mountains before they have their own gates, and many people, most of Kresk, would not even go close to this land. As far as I understand, the people of Kresk have always left the wine for the abbot at the base of the hill and allowed the children of the abbot to come down in the night and take the barrels back up.
Okay, I see. So we would be basically like gaining entrance through like that south gate, and then once you're inside, like the actual abbey is like up on a hill, and that's kind of like a winding road to it.
I believe there is some 400 or 500 feet of elevation, and maybe 200 feet or so between each of those switchbacks. It is a strenuous climb, even for the most healthy of people.
And why is like the big gate not go around the abbey as well? Like, is there is that map not correct, or is there actual like passage from the back?
The abbey itself is guarded by its own gated area, but it sits on a cliff. So you'll see, and it just kind of points to those two areas where it looks like there's no wall. That is effectively a 400-foot cliff in between, like the south side of the abbey and like that northern guard tower. And then like on the north side of the abbey, again, it's like a 400-foot cliff between that and like that, like kind of like southeasterly of the northern guard towers. But
Okay,
like,
okay. So the map is like kind of like not great. There's no like there's all but a wall around the whole thing.
yeah, you can almost see in that map the tiny little hash marks that are meant to show you that the Abbey sits on a cliff. There's like 3 little sets of hash marks, and those are basically all like 150-foot drop in between those hashes that make that almost a topographical map.
I see. I see. Okay, great.
The Abbey has historically been well defended by the nuns and the clerics who served their ancient abbot, Saint Markovia. But she fell when she attempted to rise up against the lord of these lands. They have all been removed until the new abbot came some time ago. He has done much in that space that keeps the people of Krezk just as uncomfortable as when the Markovians fell into cannibalism.
Sark's like eyes gonna get like real big. Cannibalism?
It's true.
The abbot and his servants, or all of Markovia?
From what I know, it was 1 second. What I know about it is that it was the nuns and clerics before the Abbey got there were tortured and resulted in cannibalism.
And you, Eric, have you partaken?
The Abbey was abandoned for many generations between Saint Markovia and your father, the abbot.
So these are the old ways, long extinct?
It is difficult to get anyone in Krezk to speak about such things, but again, they still fear the place. It, as I understand, still has the bell ringing at odd times of the night and screams, horrific sounds from the asylum. It's hard to tell what is rumor and what is fact when people fear. They speak a lot of untruths.
Well, regardless of, thank you for the map and your help. We need to get there one way or another. try and find our friend and perhaps help Eric tie up his loose ends.
You are most welcome. I hope you find everything to your best. Will you have to be leaving early in the morning? What time do you expect that you will have to go? It gets late. I'm still curious about what things you have been choosing this and that rather than your friend. But perhaps we can enjoy that conversation tomorrow.
Oh, probably as early as we can. Uh, We're pressed for time. It seems like always since we've gotten here. It's seems like it goes so slowly, but so quickly as well. It's strange here. You must be used to it, but I I still can't get used to it.
Well, then, I can show you to your rooms, and perhaps we can share a breakfast tomorrow before you must attend to the road.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So he'll just kind of take you all around uh, to effectively, it's been essentially the same 3 bedrooms pretty much each time that you stayed with Vasily. And he will show you into rooms, and you all can enjoy a long rest. And he will wake you all early in the morning to sit down for a small, simple breakfast. And he will write you a letter of introduction into Krezk.
Nice.
And
I do have a question while he's writing that, and we're all fresh. After he's done writing it, just had a question to ask him. Um, Gonna be dumb. But okay, so I noticed your artwork on the walls. You must be a man that knows his weapons. Am I wrong?
my family has a long history of hunting and has worked as squires in the past for the Vanzaroviches, many generations past.
I summon my rapier and I ask, what do you think about this sword?
That is certainly a neat trick. Is it for a particular? Does it? And it just kind of looks over it. What are you getting at?
Um, does he have any better rapiers?
I'm afraid that at this point in my family's existence, we have little more than display pieces remaining to us. We do what we can to avoid the ways of war.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask. And I summon it back to me.
It's certainly the most interesting weapon that I have ever seen. That is a beautiful sword to have. You must be very proud of yourself. It would be a shame to be anyone else. And he'll finish writing a little letter, burn a little bit of wax, and seal it shut, and hand it off to Sarkis. And then you all can sit down, enjoy a little bit of breakfast, and whenever you are ready, head on your way.
I actually want to stop by St. Andrew's real quick and ask the father a question.
What question do you have in mind?
Is there any way you can make this weapon a holy weapon?
If you are able to find a relic, you can certainly do such things. But it is beyond my power. The bones of Saint Andrew were stolen some time ago. I have no such objects to bestow any blessing with.
The bones of Saint Andrew, you say? What? What are they?
Our saint, who we've dedicated this church to, he died many generations ago, and his bones were interred in this church, in a secret place, and they have since been stolen.
So when we recovered the tomb, Flea took the bones, like I guess like in a case or whatever. Can we present those to him and see if those are or could be, or if he would be able to tell if those are the bones?
You carry around bones with you?
Yeah, we're pretty fucked up as it is.
It's sort of a long story, and they seemed ancient and very important. They were with something else very, very important, and in our haste, we took it all and weren't really sure what they were for, but I it's probably nothing.
I don't believe these are the bones of Saint Andrew, unless you have added bones to this. Did you add bone? Do you just do you collect bones?
When we defeated Madame Wachter, she had them in a locked away in a very important chest with what we were there for, and it seemed if they had to be important, or else why keep them with such an important item? So we took them as they were. We've added none and taken none away, and didn't really know what they were for or why we were taking them. But well, when you said bones, I figured it was worth mentioning.
I can find out who it is if you would like.
Uh, Through magical means or just asking around? I'm confused.
It's not the most enjoyable of things to do, but you have their skull. I can ask them questions.
You can speak to the dead?
Ooh, that's a super vague thing. It's got to have a mouth. I don't know if a skull counts as a mouth.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but that was just in my mind, I'm like, don't they have to be like freshly dead?
Yeah, there's otherwise no way to ever find out whose bones those are if you don't particularly have access to this spell. Is one of the biggest reasons why I've always felt like this was the whole purpose of putting those in there. Are you in a rush?
We always feel hurried, but if perhaps I imagine this situation has come to pass for a reason. So if we are here now and you have the ability, I think it would be a mistake to leave without pursuing this further.
So he will light some incense, setting. I don't even know. I think you guys kept the actual case that the bones were in, so it's like actual like silver case. It was a pretty fine like kind of chest itself. He'll set that on the actual like podium of the church as he starts to burn the incense around it, and will take some time as he begins to cast the spell. And you'll see as kind of the jaw like snaps into place on the skull, and Father Petrovich will look to you all. We will have 5 questions to ask of it. The first that we can ask of you is, and he'll turn to the skull, and will you tell me who you were in life? And just kind of in an uncanny, very creepy moment of necromancy, that makes most people hate the very nature of necromancers. The skull is just going to float up just high enough that its mouth can kind of move, but otherwise it's still like awkwardly inside of this box, and it's going to look towards Father Petrovich. My Zdelisnia Leo Zdelisnia. Why have you summoned to this place? Set me free. Sarkis, Nunya, Eric, you have any questions you would ask Master Desilnia?
We shouldn't recognize that name or anything, should we?
You all can do a history check. I don't think there's any particular reason why you would.
Father, would you? Why?
Ask about the gems or whatever the thing we need. You know anything about that?
It's just gonna snap its attention to Sarkis, and then it twists to look over at Eric.
So yeah, I guess could we ask it about was it the sapphires, the last one we're looking for?
What are you asking?
Do you know who or where the sapphire is? Uh, um, of the wizard, was it the wizard stones? I guess.
Anybody want to help him before you ask this question? Otherwise, this is about to be a very flea-like moment.
We're specifically looking for the huntress goddess of the land?
So how are you asking the question right now? I think it's going to turn to you. You of no sapphire wizard.
I guess I got a question. This is out of character just to clarify my information. Um, it was Madam Walker y'all found him in, the bones in?
Ask that main character. You don't have to ask it. You can say like something to them, like you found it with Madame Wachter, right?
Y'all guys found it with Madam Walker, right?
Yes, in a case in Madame Wachter's house with the book, with the tome of the devil.
I turned back to the skull and asked, of what importance were you to Madam Walker?
Don't know of any.
Why would someone save your bones?
Killed Strahd.
Sarkis like jaw drops.
You have one last question, but I think you now understand why Madame Wachter would have had his bones.
We only have one question. What should we
Should,
ask?
should we ask how he killed him?
I think that would be a good idea. Or it would be selfish, but probably the most useful. The other option would be to ask how we could free him. Father, you don't happen to know how one would free someone like this? A spirit?
My magic may be what is binding him. As long as his bones exist, he will answer to it until the magic dissipates.
Then Eric, ask him.
Talking to so, how do I phrase the question? What methods did you use to kill Strahd?
We ambushed him over Sair Falls, and I stabbed him. And as it finishes, the word back. The skull is just going to fall back inanimate into the case.
Well, that was rather unexpected. I don't suppose you've ever heard of this person, Father?
I have not heard of the Silna line, but as is the way of the Dark Lord, many things have been forgotten on purpose. So I 100% need to go to the restroom, but I say let's take a break here and we'll pick up in about 15. If everybody's back before then, we'll pick up before then, but otherwise let's take a quick break.
Heard. That was rather unexpected. I was not expecting any of that.
I just want a better sword.
Have you thought about the magical axe that we have?
No, because I didn't know about that, but but my fighter base is duelist.
So what does that mean?
Means that a majority of the weapons that that I'm more proficient in is finesse style weapons. So like rapiers or short swords.
I mean, but what do you gain from using a rapier or a short sword?
Let me see. +2 to my damage rolls.
That's it?
Yes, but I also have the feat of Piercer, which adds if I'm holding a piercing damage weapon, I can on a
Like,
critical I can,
go ahead, my bad.
I can re-roll one additional damage die on a critical hit.
So here's what I'm thinking. It might be worth just taking the battle axe, attuning to it, and then if we fight something that is like better against regular weapons, instead of doing half damage with your rapier, that's your ideal weapon, you could do full damage with a battle axe. Like if the situation arises, I think we know pretty clearly from my fighting with my stick versus fighting with my hands, which are considered magical weapons, that at least werewolves and vampires have resistance to regular damage. So if you attune to the battle axe, it will give you +1 to hit and +1 damage instead of the +2 damage from a rapier. And the chance of you critical hitting is like 1 in 20. So it seems like, and I think the battle axe does better damage anyway. It's like a two-handed weapon, I think. So it might be worth you using, at least having in case you need to use it, but possibly even using all the time.
Yeah, that can work because I can, as part of my weapon bonding, I can basically switch out between two weapons as a bonus action.
Right. Well, like worst case scenario, say you had like your rapier out and you wanted to switch to your battle axe. I'm pretty sure you can just like free action drop your rapier and then like pull out the battle axe for like that's like your object interaction or whatever. I think. So I think you could like legit switch in a hurry if you need to, regardless. I'm not sure. Is the weapon bonding like something for your class or what is that?
That's part of the Eldritch Knight.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it would make a lot of sense for you to at least attune to the battle axe, possibly use it all the time, or worst case scenario, have it in case you need it. But a +1 battle axe is pretty freaking good.
But I also have this thing called Defensive Duelist, which is a feat where if I'm wielding a finesse weapon where I'm proficient in, um, I that triggers the reaction and adds +3 to my AC. But then again, I also have shield.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but like you could literally carry both of them and use them as the opportunity arises. We obviously don't have another sword. We don't have a finesse weapon, so it seems like it would be good. It's not your number one best choice weapon, but seems like it would be a good idea.
That it does sound like a good idea. I mean, I can take it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure just like a short rest and you pretty much attune to it. So maybe like while we were like talking to the father and this was all going down, we could like have you attuning to it or possibly like just on the next short rest whenever it's relevant.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure a
that
magical weapon doesn't even require attunement.
Oh, word. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I would definitely say that you should have that because like not I have no reason to use anything but my hands. I basically have a magical weapon already. So, and I'm not proficient with like martial weapons anyway. And then obviously Kavi has that sword now, so or Nunya, so it would make sense for sure for you to have a magical weapon in case you need it.
because how I was thinking of it before, like during the week, I'm like, okay, so she has the sword, and I mean, it seems that her HP is relatively low, and so I mean, my I mean, strategizing wise is the best to
I don't
protect.
know if you caught on, but she doesn't have a choice to give up that sword. She has to die before anybody else can take that sword.
That's what I mean. That's what I assumed immediately, that since it's bonded to her and she like made the pact with it, that to, it's like one of our missions is to keep her alive so it can be used in a fight against Strahd. But that was just me strategizing just throughout the week.
Are you here right now, Key?
Yeah, I mean, I would say take the battle axe, add it to your inventory, and then if it's relevant, you could use it. I mean, the extra +1 to hit and +1 damage, it's not quite as, I mean, it's probably just as good as just +2 damage. Obviously, you don't get the benefit of the crit. You can't use it with defensive duelists, but I mean, having a magic weapon, if we fight something like a werewolf or a vampire, would probably be pretty good. And then I'm assuming if a werewolf and a vampire have like resistance to normal damage, that probably when we do get to Strahd, assuming you haven't gotten a better weapon by then, it would probably be better to use that against them.
I mean, here's one of the things from my perspective is, again, I tried to give you some open room to respec Eric if you wanted to. In the long run, I don't think it's necessarily the best idea to just say respec him for that battle axe. But you also don't have to stick with what you've done, because I already think part of what I don't know if you fully understood when you chose those 3 feats, but you've got like 5 different reaction like things on that character, and you can only ever react once a turn. So I'm still open to the idea that if you want to switch Eric around, you can make it happen, and it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to focus on something that allows you to use that battle axe.
Okay.
So wait, could he take like Great Weapon Master or like something like that?
Yeah, I think especially if you focus on the idea that like you replace Piercer with Great Weapon Master, um, or like the defensive duelist with Great Weapon Master, and maybe take slashing, like the slasher instead of Piercer. I feel like something that is at least relatively along the same spirit of the feats that you took is at least much more intelligent, and it goes in line with the idea that on some level, like, you should try to benefit from what you've got. And I mean, for the longest time, you all avoided Argynvostholt, and it was kind of something I was laughing at because you guys were so close to the sword for so long and you kept avoiding it. But at that point, like when you guys went there, you almost had like 4 people who wanted the same weapon because of what everybody spec'd as. And it was just like, that was part of why, like, when Key created Nunya, I was like, are you sure you don't want to focus on your bow? And she was really adamant that she wanted to focus on the sword. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, just trying to like say, like, everybody in your group wants the same weapons. Like, maybe it's trying to hand wave, do a little Jedi trick, like try to do something that gives you almost like a unique option versus specific weapons.
Shit, Sarkis is the opposite. He's borderline thinking about just leaving his staff behind. He's tired of carrying it. If he didn't use it also as like a walking stick, I think I probably would have left it in the swamp.
Is your monk die a D6 yet?
No, it hasn't gone up. It's still, I think at
What
level
is
8 it goes up.
8, it goes to a D6, and then it's like 12 or 14, then it goes to the D8. I know at some point, I feel like maybe it's 14, it goes to the D8, where it's just like, yep, there's no longer a point to ever carrying the staff.
Oh no, it
Except
is.
for the
Yeah.
Yoda.
It's sorry. It's sorry to interrupt you. It's a D6 already, but two-handed the quarterstaff is a D8. And I think at level
Okay.
8 it goes up maybe, or maybe level 12, and then it becomes a D8, and there's no reason to even carry a weapon.
Yeah, I feel like it was level 6 that it became the D6. I think it might be level 10 or 12 that it goes up to the D8. And then it's the D10, I think, by the time you max out at like 16 or 17.
I'm back.
Excellent. So we are good to jump back into things here. You all have last few moments if you had any other questions that might have arisen to ask Father Petrovich. But otherwise, with a little detour, you've found out at least a little bit more about what has happened to Strahd.
Does he have any holy oil?
I want to say offhand that's going to be 200 gold for a vial of holy water.
All right, never mind then.
Yeah, everything in Barovia is twice price. So I'm
So
pretty
wait,
sure
isn't it
it's 100.
25 normally? I definitely think that's worth getting. Doesn't it, like, can you just like dip your weapon in it and it does extra damage on every strike for like a certain amount of time?
Isn't that oil in that water?
Yeah, holy water is 25 gold, so it would be 50 gold.
Oh yeah, I definitely think we should get some of that. Um, yeah, so definitely get. I marked the axe off already from the loot list. I think we should definitely get at least one vial of holy water. If not, like one for each of us. Um, I mean, for 50 gold, it's not like we have a ton of things we can spend our gold on here.
I only have one right now, but if you can bring me sufficient silver, I can make more for you.
Oh, we would be most grateful, Father. I would you be able to grind it up or find a way to turn it to dust if we were to just leave silver with you?
I would prefer if it were ready to be consumed, but I can have Yaska grind it. It will take more time.
Of course, and we would gladly make a contribution to you or the church for the troubles. So yeah, I'll give him 50 for the vial he already has, and then another uh, 25 worth of silver for two more vials to be made, and then another like however much to like say another 25 silver for the effort. Or I guess 50. 25 to
Eh,
make it, 25 to buy it. So give him a total of like 200 silver.
It's 250 silver to cast the spell. It's 25 gold worth of silver.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah. So if I give him 25 gold, and then it's double, right? Because it's Barovia.
Yeah, like he's basically charging you 250 silver and 25 gold for
Okay.
each
Yeah. Yeah.
vial.
So if I give him 50 plus 50 plus 50, and then another like 25 gold or 25 silver, whatever, for like a contribution for like grinding it up and doing it for us.
I think I can have this ready for you in maybe two days or so.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We don't even know when we'll be back anyway, so uh much appreciated, Father. Much appreciated. And then Sarkis would just like ask how the children are doing before we leave too.
Oh shit, I should have made one of them grind it, not Yeska. They definitely have not died in the meantime. I have most certainly not forgotten about them and let them die on accident.
Oh, that's great news. Great news indeed. Excellent. Well, tell them when we get back that we'll want to hear all about their adventures and we'll have some stories for them as well. Okay, so I'm marking off all that right now. And then each of you should put 250 silver on your character as well. And then Eric, put the first vial of holy water on yourself also.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, so everything should be updated now. Nice, good call. I didn't even think about that. At some point in time too. Yeah, that's what's up. Good call on that.
So is everyone prepared to leave Vallaki and head off on the road towards Krezk?
Yep, I am.
Once we're at the gate, she turns to Eric and she'll say, "So we're not stuffing you in a wine barrel, smuggling you in? Darn."
So as you walk across this day, you're gonna spend the next good chunk of your day on the road. Very little occurrences, very little things that are kind of pulling your attention this way and that. And for quite some time, travel is going to be pretty easy. And eventually, you all will start to approach the bridge over the Raven River. And I think that would be the first time you're going to see Krezk on the horizon. And you will see a beautiful town and monastery kind of set against a cliffside, and the forest kind of extending off into the mist beyond it. And this again is one of those points where you kind of come up against the wall of the mist as you walk closer and closer down the old Svalich road until you will eventually approach where the mist is just a few hundred feet beyond you on the western part of Old Svalich Road, and the road splits off towards Krezk to the north of you.
What a sight to see. It's beautiful.
And then while you all walk the last bit of the way, you can approach up to the Gates of Krask, standing almost 40 or so feet above you. You will walk up to these large wooden gates. They are currently closed. You will see two different guard towers on either side, or rather, a guard tower on either side of the double doors. Each one has about 4 arrow slits on the kind of front facing side, about 30 feet over top of you. And the arrow slits are about 6 inches wide and kind of come down like the bottom 2 feet of the actual guard post and then down a little bit into the floor. And they all just overlook this entry gate. And you all can approach the gate.
Didn't you say like Nunya had like a disguise kit or Flea did or something? I feel like Eric would be like disguised at this point.
Kavi had it, and unless he swiped it, it got buried with her.
I wouldn't be surprised if your thief has it as well, though.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess we'll like try to like make him as nonchalant as possible.
Yeah, I think it's gone. Flea both does not have proficiency, nor does he have it on his person.
No, I feel like he would have thieves tools.
Yeah, he's got forgery and thieves' tools proficiency, but thieves' tools is his go-to.
I mean, we could hit him with the crowbar a couple times and make him look different, but I don't know if that would help.
Use Squidward Act.
What was that, Key?
In SpongeBob, when Squidward gets hit with the door so many times, he changes his whole looks like, I'm handsome.
Yeah, exactly. Like we could change the way he looks. I don't know if it's gonna help him blend in, but yeah. So I guess like maybe just swap him out for like some normal clothes and just do like a ragtag, kind of like put the hood up over your face. I mean, you have like a permanent mask on your face, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I feel like you'd be pretty noticeable. Man, I don't know. We'll just do our best as we can to like hood him up, I guess.
Does anybody have proficiency with disguise kit?
I'm proficient with the leatherworker's tools and herbalism kit, so I could make him like a Jason mask out of leather, or I could like give him like some war paint, but that's pretty much it, I think.
I just have an herbalism kit.
But do you have proficiency?
No.
Does Eric have proficiency with a disguise kit?
I don't have proficiency with shit except weapon.
So, I mean, you all don't have anybody who's like skilled in doing it, but you all can buy a disguise kit back in Vallaki for 50 gold.
Yeah, okay, let's nix one of the silver things and buy a disguise kit. That seems really important. So let's say we did that instead. And then
When you say one of the silver things instead of a holy water?
yeah. Instead of one of the additional holy waters, we just because we definitely need to try to disguise him.
So when you all are ready, you can let me get a. Oh man, I feel like it's just going to be a performance check from Nunya and Sarkis.
Like one of us or both of us?
Both of you. I don't even think it should be performance though, because it's no proficiency. Do either of you have proficiency in that? It doesn't look like it. So I think performance is acceptable.
I just like mess his hair up a little bit.
So, I mean, overall, you all feel relatively confident that you've done a changing sort of result on him. You can give him kind of a new general look, do what you can to kind of fill in like the like gap between his. I assume Eric does not want to take the mask off.
You can try, but it will be excruciatingly painful for me.
So you like kind of fill in the gaps between the mask and the rest of his face. So it looks relatively like somebody with a face. and it just doesn't really necessarily command the most believability as his face actually starts to move around. But you're able to kind of give him a new, like, general look as far as first impressions go. So you've got something.
What was that axe you gave me? What kind of axe was it?
+1 axe, like a magical +1 axe.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a what was it? Great axe.
So either Sarkis or Nunya should add that disguise kit to your inventory as well.
I'll add it.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
And then you all, when you are ready, can approach the gate of Krezk. You guys should be able to see the gate is like the southern side of this map that we are on. It's not just a black map. It's a mostly black map with some grays.
Oh yeah, I see it. So I'll just like go up like towards the gate. Obviously, it's like probably massive from 3 feet off the ground. But if I could like see, is there like a gate warden or like somewhere to speak to somebody, or is there guards on duty?
You could do a perception, but I don't think it really matters too much. For it would in a few moments, the closer you get, you'd be able to see like up through the arrow slits. There's apparently guards there, and you'll eventually hear, "What's your business?"
Oh shit. So prior to answering this, I'm assuming we had like plenty of time to walk here and talk. Eric, being from the city, is there like something that would seem like a viable reason we would be going here? I mean, we know that like the noble comes here for like trade or something. I don't know. Do you know anything?
He would be pretty isolated from the city, being from the Abbey. But that's why you guys have the letter. I feel like that's kind of your answer.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, I don't even know what the letter says or anything. Will you seek some temporary refuge? Within, we have a letter from a good friend of ours that should grant us entry.
He has a letter. Who is the letter from? Why would a letter grant you entry? Roll a persuasion. There's no one that the letter would matter. You are small. Can you throw it up this high? And you'll see his kind of a hand like pokes out of the arrow slot. It's like 10 times your height above you.
It's like 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
I would just say, yeah. Hold your hand right there, and I'll like back up 10 feet, and then I'll run and jump like 30 feet in the air, and I'll just put the letter in his hand. And I'm assuming it says on it, or like has some kind of symbol that they would recognize as oh my god, why can I not think of his name? I keep wanting to say Vallaki.
It's stamped with the seal of Vasily.
Vasily, that's it.
You can jump, but you are not attacking us, you could come in here at your will. This seal is unfamiliar to us. What is the meaning of this?
It's from Vasily, the noble. No, I'm not attacking. I seek to grant entry legitimately.
You hear kind of like the snap of the wax.
He's a noble, travels here regularly, and I perhaps you could ask someone else. I don't know.
Go get the burgomaster. We will attend to you shortly. We have to find the burgomaster.
Thank you.
It's about 5 or so minutes before you see someone standing over kind of the central portion between the two guard towers. And he's gonna lean over, just a little old man, probably like maybe 5 or so feet. 5.5. He seems pretty short, leaning over the actual like battlements, but he kind of looks down onto you. And what is the meaning of your letter? Why is the Dark Lord of these lands asking you to gain entry into Krezk?
Wait, the Dark Lord?
Why do you have the blessings of Lord Von Zarovich?
I like look over to the other two. Like, so wait, are they implying that Vasily is Strahd? Or just affiliated?
He's going to drop the letter down to you, and you're just going to see inside, written in the handwriting of Strahd, you'll see, if you care for the walls of your city to stand, you would welcome my guests with open hands and serve their needs. For your walls have stood by my grace and not by your strength. Lord Strahd von Zarovich.
Fucking knew it! God damn fucking fuck!
God, it was sus. I was hoping no.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. And somehow was tricked.
We got hardcore played right there.
Yeah, I mean, is that bad though? Like, sorry, out of game, like, I don't know. Is that necessarily a bad thing though? I don't feel like we really like did anything specifically that would like look any worse than probably already. I don't think we like disclosed anything horrible to like Vasily or anything. I mean, he definitely played us and definitely played dumb, but
I think the biggest thing that you all might not have caught up on was that he was trying to get you to talk about the Sun Sword, but he didn't bring it up. But like when Eric brought out his sword, this is the nicest sword that I've ever seen. Anybody else with a nice sword would be put to shame by that sword.
Yeah,
He
I
just
think the
wasn't.
biggest thing that like tipped me off, because I suspected him in the very beginning, was when he came to the Blue Water Inn and he was waiting for us to invite him in, and I was like awkwardly not inviting him in to see if he would come in, and then finally, yeah, okay, that's what's up though. But see, it just made me think that he was also a vampire, but not necessarily Strahd. But that makes sense.
Rahadin escorting you to his door. Nothing about that was suspect.
I mean, it definitely seems sus already. Like Rahadin in general just seems suspect though. Yeah, that's wild. So wait, oh man, that blows my mind. So now it's like nobody else must know that Vasily is Strahd.
It's almost as if he doesn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, probably nobody even knows who he is. Yeah, okay. So I guess like when we read this letter, we would like obviously be like stunned and like replaying all these like moments through our head or whatever. Um damn. We're so fucked now.
Why do you come here as a threat to us? What do you require?
We are no threat. We didn't know. I we didn't know. I didn't know. I we hadn't read the letter, and we thought that he was a friend. He sent us here. Said that we could find refuge. We have some items to trade. Hoped that we could possibly make some coin.
We're looking for someone who might be here.
Who are you searching for?
Our friend, he goes by many names. He travels with a wagon. May know him as Rictavio, or perhaps should we say the other name or no?
I feel like most people probably know it's like Orlando in this world, in this time period.
Yeah, okay. I'll just say Rictavio and Orlando for now.
We have granted no one access to our town for it's been over 2 months. It has been over 2 months since the Markovs have entered our town. Nobody has come into Krezk.
Holy shit. Okay, so all right. That's like the whole time we've been in Barovia, right?
Yep. You guys got to the Markovs when they had a wagon ready to come here, and you pretty well know that that wagon never arrived.
Okay, so should we? Here's our two options right now, in my opinion. We either still try to go in, but now we're like super suspect, or we bail and go to like the Ruby City or whatever. Uh
Amber Temple.
yeah, that's the one. I was close. I was like,
We gotta go for the ruby slippers.
yeah, that's like what I was thinking too. I was close on both those. Okay, it was like two minor errors in my words. Um, the only thing I was thinking is if we know, or at least we're told, that he traveled west. If you go west and then south, that's like the way that you would get to the mountains.
Well, we can also ask him like if there's any other town or village further west of here too.
You all have seen that the mist is to the west. There's nothing left in Barovia.
And if you would have left Vallaki, you would have left, went over the bridge, went to like crossing right below like Lake Baratok, and then you would have went south there. all the way down past like Lake Luna and then to the mountains. So
What are you
that would have
thinking?
been. Sorry, go ahead.
What were you thinking there? Like about who doing this?
About Van Richten,
Okay, gotcha.
because they told us he went west. We already checked out the lake. We know he wasn't with the Huntress. Krezk, obviously, we're here. They're saying he didn't come this way. We've been through. I mean, unless he went to like the Wizard of Wines or to the Druids, the only other place would be Mount Gakis.
Yeah, at this point, as far as like your map of known locations, you're either checking up on places you've been or you're going to the Ember Temple. You have a name for it, you know how to get there, and where it is probably your last choice on where he might have gone.
Yeah, I'm inclined to bail. Like, I feel like that was like a fucking mic drop moment, and like we're gonna be super suspect if we try to go in now, and like we're already trying to be low key. We not knowing that we had horrible roles for the disguise kit, but knowing that obviously Eric would be like wanted. I feel like if we go in and we're like sent by Strahd and command you to let us in, and then we like have Eric with us, there's like no way this can go well.
Not only that, Strahd also knows that Eric is the abbot's son. And he also forces just to have dinner with him and breakfast without none of us knowing.
Yes, so he really does get what he wants all the time.
My mind is just like blown at the moment.
Yeah, that was such an epic mic drop.
But now this is also where it kind of becomes dangerous because Strahd knows who we're looking for.
Tavi, roll a history check. As it all kind of dawns on you, the Sword of Sunlight moved last night. You had it in your backpack. It was placed in a different pocket, almost like it was just dropped back inside of it. If you had it on your person, it was almost like it just kind of like budged from beside you. You thought maybe you rolled over it and just kind of moved it a little bit. But with the idea that Vasilius Strahd, you're pretty sure he was in your room and tried to take the Sword of Sunlight from you.
But I just check everything, double check I still have Sunny with me.
You do indeed.
God, that's so fucked. Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna go to the Amber Temple. You guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Operation Bail on Krask.
No interest in seeing Papa?
Fuck that.
You don't want to reveal yourself and try to see what you might gain.
Yeah, I guess that's really our other option. Honestly, we're here now. We don't know what's gonna happen, but essentially, I mean, it is one of our probably last few loose ends. So,
Out of
like,
character, there's a reason I told you to become the abbot's son when you pitched that story that you had for your background. Out of character, you should know that leaving the Abbey and never coming here is not the goal. There's something of importance here.
right? So I guess we're here now. I guess realistically, maybe now is the time when you like drop your disguise and reveal yourself. I feel like that's I mean like you just said literally. We're here and we know there's like only a couple loose ends left. and we might as well try to tie it up.
Yeah, you all are getting close to the end of your journey in Barovia. And there's only so many places. When something is named at this point, you guys have to know there's a reason you're supposed to go to places. And I would say on some level, if you don't go to Krezk now, you'll probably are never going there.
Right? So you want to just do it? We're here now. You feel like just dropping your disguise and winging it?
Fuck it, I dropped my disguise.
What are you saying? Like, you have to still appeal to this person to try to gain entry. Well, what kind of thoughts do you have?
I'm here to see the abbot.
No one goes up there. Why would you go to the abbot?
He is my father. I am his son.
Your business with the abbot? You will leave the people of Krezk out of it?
Yes, my business is only with the abbot.
Pass through, and you can find your way up to the Abbey, and if he grants you entry, that is yours. We will have nothing of it. I assume he would want your return. So the burgomaster will step away from the gates, and they will soon after open, revealing at least like the initial parts of the city. And you'll see here there's very sparse housing. A lot more of this place is actually like the trees that they cut and use to heat their homes. Um, Part of why they don't need to trade for anything other than wine is that this place is self-sufficient. And they really are in want of nothing except for safety from Strahd. So, hoping that there's a reason that they were asked to allow you in, they will grant you access, and you'll have some guards on you, and they try to rush you up to the north and as fast as possible towards the Abbey and away from them.
Yeah, I'd like just thank them for entry and assure them that we won't be any problems to the people.
So, after a long walk up the actual switchbacks towards the Abbey itself, you all will just have like this slow progression as you're just climbing further and further up this mountainside. And probably for the first time for most people, you'll see the snow falling from above and kind of like gripping to the actual side of the mountain. Um, and eventually you can round the corners to where you will be at the gates to the Abbey that are to the east. And you'll see a much stronger kind of like stone like fortress around this actual abbey here. And the gates themselves are kind of a stronger, like metal reinforced. And just kind of looking at things, it seems like they're designed to keep people out. But with how fresh things are in some of the stories, this is also one of those things where perhaps it's meant to keep people in. And this is a freaking huge map. So at present, you all will be on like the southwestern side, but you probably have to zoom out really far and also scroll down kind of far. But you can approach the gates and do as you would like. How would you like to approach the gates to the Abbey of St. Markovia?
Is anybody at the gate?
You don't see anybody. Like there's a closed gate in front of you, and the wall is like 20 feet or so.
Is the gate have some sort of lock on it or anything like that?
You would know that the gates are locked from the other side.
Eric, you're familiar with this place. We should follow your lead.
If there's two servants of the Bellevue family who would be here, you would expect that Siegfried and Otto would be at the gate.
Siegfried and Otto are at the gate.
Should call out to them and request entry. Identify yourself, and I'm sure they would present us to your father.
So I shout out, Siegfried, Otto, I have come to see our father.
Roll a persuasion with advantage. After a few moments, you're going to see two different figures kind of look over the gate from above. One of these creatures is kind of like shrouded inside of its hood, and you can't quite tell if there's patches of beard or fur around their face. The other looks almost like hunched over, as if it would be more comfortable to be on like four legs, how their spine kind of sits, and seems to almost have like an elongated face. Father said that you were dead. And you choose to return? You have business with Father, yes?
Yes, take me to him.
So they will open the gates, and you can see on the other side as the two of them kind of stand at the gate, and they're each on one side of it. Siegfried's a little bit more hunched over, and as you get a closer look, seems like patchy flesh all over her face. almost as if she's part wolf. And Otto seems to be almost without fur, but more of a dog-like face. Each of them walks with a different limp, favoring a different leg. And you can see Otto seems to have a tail coming from behind them. You can visit with father. How did you die?
I died the moment Father did his first experiment on me.
Gave you life. Different than death. Your scars. You're less beautiful. He allowed you outside. It is nice. You're just going to slowly walk with them as you all pass past the graveyard to the south of you. You can see more of this cliff face to the north of you. That Abbey is just kind of set into this step on the cliff face of these larger mountain ranges. And as you walk past the graveyard, you'll see these stained glass windows, almost cathedral-like in how high they are. This main level must be 20 or 30 feet or so. And just kind of progress forward and forward until eventually you see that there's a long yard that stretches out towards the north. And then you'll kind of get a view of the asylum to the northeast of you. And Siegfried and Otto will walk you all up to the next gate. And they'll open it. And inside, you're going to see pens filled with other creatures. Body parts sewn incorrectly onto one another. And they're just directly ahead of you, about 60 or so feet. There's a well between you and them. And screams kind of ring out as some of these creatures start to see you all approaching. And you'll see to the east, another of these pens has off to like up against the wall of this area. And there's a creature that seems to have bat wings and otherwise look relatively humanoid. And she is attached to like a large, almost like a tree that just kind of sits there. And she glances over towards the group as you all approach. And you just hear a screech that's ear piercing. You gain a sense that this creature doesn't have a voice like Otto or Siegfried. And they continue to march you all down towards the south and towards the cathedral.
What is this place, Eric? What have what have you endured? And he'll just like reach out and like, I guess he's short, so he'll just like reach out and kind of like touch your hand like out of sympathy.
Sargus, get your hand off my ass.
Sorry, Nat one. And at some point in time, like while we're like walking up here or whatever, Sarkis would definitely say to you, no matter what happens, Eric, I we will not leave here without you.
Thank you.
They're going to approach the cathedral, and you'll see as they open the doors, and they're just going to stand back. Both Otto and Siegfried don't make a movement to walk into the cathedral, and they'll just kind of look to you, each of them snickering. Enjoy your reconciliation with Father. And as you look into the doors, you all are going to see a human male who seems to be standing across the room from you, about 60 or 70 feet away. And he's just beyond a large wooden table set for 12. A large pot of food is on the fireplace, and the aroma smells absolutely delightful. And he seems to be standing next to a tall woman, about just under 6 feet or so, just a little bit shorter than the abbot himself. And she has long, kind of like orange reddish hair, and it flows down her back. And she's wearing a nice gown that perhaps has seen too many days of wear. It seems torn and soiled. Her flesh seems pale white, and she just seems to be staring at the fire, almost looking at the food. And the abbot himself is just kind of glancing over at her, and you'll just hear a single string instrument that's playing through the cathedral.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm not like seeing too far into this, you said she has red hair, right?
100%.
Okay, so that obviously is going to jump out as like a red flag, like literally to me.
You all can place yourselves at that entryway, but as they bring you in, you're going to see as the abbot's attention turns towards you all. Oh, welcome. Didn't understand that we would be having guests today. Vasilka, say hello to our guests. And you'll see as the red-headed woman turns around. Hello to our guests. She just kind of bows a little bit at the waist.
So does she look like undead or like pieced together in the same way that these other creatures are?
You're still far away, but you can try to do a perception check.
Okay, I got you. It doesn't have to be like right this second. I just assume like that's what I would be looking for as we kind of like are walking up or whatever. So do you want me to just roll it right now?
Go for it. At first glance, you can spot what seems to be different points on her face or shoulder where perhaps like there's scars and stitching. That perhaps she's been scarred in the past. But at present, from a distance, you can't quite tell too much about what's going on with her. But with the immediate notice of like a redhead and what you've seen walking in here, she's definitely going to jump out at you. And the abbot's just going to slowly walk around the table, and eventually he's going to approach you all. Vasilka, we should greet our guests and invite them to dine with us. And she'll kind of walk back around, and you see, watching her move, her movements seem alien to her. Her body is twitchy. She doesn't move smoothly, and it seems like there's an effort to her actually making her way over to you. And eventually she'll get there, and standing beside the abbot, welcome, our guests. Would you care to enjoy dinner with the abbot and Vasilka? Eric, the proper response to your sister is yes. We would like to enjoy dinner with you.
Yes, we'd like to have dinner with you.
Good. Introduce your friends for us, Eric.
They can introduce themselves.
Eric, a proper young man, would introduce his friends when he brings them over to see his father.
This is Sarkis and Nunya.
Starkus, my name is Abbott. And he'll reach down to you as he brings out a hand to shake your hand.
I scream out, "Don't touch him!"
I like pull my hand away real quickly. What?
Now. Are we going to enjoy a civil dinner? Or is there a reason that you are interrupting things and cannot find basic manners to yourself?
Let's just eat.
It is uncouth to dine with those that you have been improperly introduced to. Sarkis, my name is Abbott. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I am Sarkis Shadowstorm.
And assuming you're shaking his hand, he'll lightly shake your hand. And then he'll move over closer to Nunya. And he'll do the same. Nunya, you can call me Abbott. It's a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine. It's nice to meet you too. And she bows instead.
You need not bow, young lady. Still holding out his hand.
She hesitantly shakes his hand.
And he'll shake your hand and step back away as he goes back towards the food. Vasilka, would you like to choose your seat? Actually, wait a second, my bad. Before he actually leaves, he's going to then introduce one after another. Vasilka, this is your brother Eric. And she's going to approach Eric and reach out her hand. Very jumpy motions before she has her hand out. And all 5 fingers are just kind of spread.
I reach out and touch her hand lightly and put my other hand on top and shake it gently.
She shakes your hand gently. It's a pleasure to meet you, brother Eric. Vasilka. This is Eric's friend, Nunya. And she's going to walk away from Eric and approach Nunya and reach out her hand.
She gives it a gentle shake.
And she shakes your hand gently. It's a pleasure to meet you, Nunya. Vasilka. This is Eric's friend, Sarkis. And she'll move over to Sarkis and reach out her hand.
Yeah, I'll take her hand and lean forward, like I'm gonna kiss it.
You can see the stitching that runs between her middle finger and her pointer finger. You can see that the flesh of one hand is different than the other, and that 2 hands have been sewn together at this point. And let me have you roll a performance check. Sarkis, it's a pleasure to meet you. And she kind of stands back up in a very straight and proper position. And then the abbot will go, Vasilka, would you care to choose your seat for tonight's dinner? And she's just going to turn around. I would like to sit there. She's gonna point off at the seat kind of north of the fireplace and then make her way over there. Let me get a perception check from everybody. Sarkis, every step she takes, the stone creaks in an almost lifelike agony. She weighs a lot, and her body is big. She's tall, but she weighs way more than her body gives off. And you can hear it in her footsteps on this stone. And as she sits down, the abbot's going to approach the food. Is everyone delighted to have a nice stew this evening? Vasilka.
I would look up at Nunya and give her the wide eyes. I don't know if she'll know what it means, but
You could do like a performance to see how well you do the motion.
Yeah, I'm like going for the I'm not eating anything here, like wide eyes.
Vasilka, would you enjoy some stew? Nunya, let me get a insight from you. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say that was not sufficient for her to necessarily understand it. Obviously, Key, if you're already on that level, it's not necessarily up to Sarkis to tell you. But if you're already suspicious, that's fine for you. But on some level, you should maybe have been distracted by what's going on in the actual room itself at present. Um, but eventually, the abbot is going to serve Vasilka, and he will plate up 3 more bowls of stew. And then as he finishes a 4th, he's going to sit to the head of the table. Won't you please join us? Enjoy a nice meal between friends.
Sarkis will like walk up and take his seat.
Abbott's definitely a slurper. So when he takes some stew in his spoon, it's like a wooden carved out spoon. Are you enjoying the stew?
So like Sarkis is like holding his spoon and like stirring it around, but like never actually eats any of it.
Roll a
God.
deception check.
Like every time he looks like he's about to like take a bite, he like starts to talk and like makes conversation like as he's about to, and then never actually does. So whenever I'll dialogue it up. We were unsure what type of greeting we would receive. I was not expecting you to be so welcoming.
I am an abbot of the Morning Lord. I see all things. I have been pleased with your path. If it so required you to go beyond our gates, you've done well for yourself. Found new friends. Why would I be angry to see your return? And then he'll kind of look back, like after basically stared down Eric for that whole little bit. He'll look back towards Sarkis. Everything. And he'll go back to his soup as he slurps again.
He seems to be enjoying that soup quite a bit. Can I tell if there's something special about this stew?
What are you thinking?
Is it human?
Like, do you want to ask?
No, I just want to look at the stew for right now and just.
Seems to be a lot of broth, a little bit of potatoes, carrots, beets, a lot more vegetables than anything else. And then smells like pork. Has little chunks of meat in it. Nunya, are you as well not eating?
Uh, she she kind of does what Sarkis does, but she pays more attention to like the conversation when it happens, as if like she's immersed in the words.
You two can make a deception check. Would it please you all if I were to summon the food directly? Or are you going to keep up this charade? I can see you are all famished from your travels.
I'm not eating. And I'm blatantly showing that I'm not eating.
Oh, was he talking about like him knowing that we're not eating anything? Is that what you meant?
Yes, 100%. It is quite rude to enter someone's house and turn down a gift, a drink, or a meal. You can continue your teenage angst if you would like, but I assure you, you are in no danger to enjoy the stew that I have created for this night.
Can I insight check it?
You can insight check him. Seems to be telling the truth. Cloven! And as he yells out, the music's going to stop. And you'll hear from up above, "Yes, master. What can I do for you?" It seems our guest would prefer a display of how tonight's dinner is prepared. Would you go get another large pot for us? Coming, master. You're going to see as footsteps start to come down towards like the southern side of the chapel, and you'll see a couple of feet kind of showing up on the stairs. And eventually, as this person walks down to the landing, anybody who is remotely looking is going to see that in general, this person looks really human, almost passively human. And it's not until they round the stairs that just kind of jumps out at you. While almost everything is perfectly fine with their body, there's a second head that is attached right at the neck. And as Cloven walks downstairs with a violin in hand, he's going to kind of round the corner, and he'll set his violin down as he walks past and through the chapel, going down the stairs on the north side of the chapel. And then he'll walk downstairs. And over the next few minutes, you'll hear some groaning, some scratching of steel against metal. And eventually he will come up top. And he'll slowly drag the cauldron over towards the fire. And it's 100% that Men in Black moment of as he covers like the 100 feet of the chapel here, and will eventually get it in front of the chapel, and he'll look to you all. Would you be more pleased if I create dinner before your eyes?
Don't look too far into it. I am an acolyte of the Griffin Temple, with mark of healing, and I'm currently fasting. It's nothing to do with the situation.
Perhaps you should not visit people while you are fasting. It is rude.
It is not my intention. Don't look too deeply into it. You'll notice his voice like full on like cracking as he's just like super sketched out right now.
Eric, can you maintain your poor manners? Or would you rather food that I summon henceforth?
Do what you will.
Lady Nunya, are you hungry?
Uh, I I kind of have a pork allergy, so I can't really eat it.
I can summon chicken just as easily. So chicken it is. Would you prefer bear, wolf, dragon? What would you desire?
Vegetarian?
Done. And he will raise his hand, and the pot is just going to fill with food. And he'll grab another bowl and walk over to you and reach it out and set it down in front of you. And it's a steaming bowl of soup. Seems like very seemingly similar things. You'll just notice none of the actual meat.
She takes a spoonful and blows on it before taking a bite.
Tastes bland, but otherwise tastes perfectly fine. Cloven, would you be so kind as to feed your brothers and sisters? They will get an extra meal this evening. And you'll hear as Cloven goes upstairs, and you just hear the ringing of a bell 3 times. And then Cloven's going to come back downstairs, and he'll take the first pot off of the fire and slowly drag it across the room in the same long screech over the next about 10 minutes. And then once Cloven makes it outside, the abbot's going to... So, you are too good to eat in my house, and yet you have come To the house of the Morning Lord. What have you come for?
Uh, Perhaps knowledge?
How can I help you with knowledge? If you already fear what I would feed you, you think the food of the brain would be less poisoned?
I wouldn't say fear so much as graciously refuse, but I
Stop lying and eat or don't eat. You insult me regardless, and your excuses are false. You are better than this.
perhaps an opportunity for redemption or to build trust between two strangers. That is why I seek knowledge.
And trust that the food before you is safe to eat. Trust that what my boy tells you is one side of a story. Trust that I am a servant of the Morning Lord, and I need not be your foe.
Perhaps you would care to offer the other side of that story then.
What other side would you desire?
Perhaps the truth or your version of it.
For about 15 or so minutes, you're just going to hear horrendous screams coming from outside. What version of things did Eric tell you that I can tell you my side of the story?
I told them the truth.
That you are my creation, and I gave you life, and that you were among the best of my creations. Siegfried suffers worse than you. Mashiska suffers worse than you. Many have failed for you to be so close to human.
I don't care about that. What you did to those poor people, your creations. I don't care. You're harming innocent people.
No one was alive when we took their bodies. You are all created from the dead. Your flesh is not your own, but it belonged to no one prior to being animated. You wish to suffer, and so you do. My task is far higher than your delusions. Tell me, what are you, band of miscreants, doing here today?
Then I'm here, tell the truth. Then why did you start? What is your higher purpose? Why do all these creations? Why make someone like me and all those outside?
You are all a means to the end. The end sits before you.
Cut the bullshit with all this riddle like talk. Tell the truth.
You are the means to the end, and it sits before you. Vasilka, say hello to your brother. Hello, Brother Eric.
Who was she before you made her like this?
Just one amongst the dead of this land. She is the same as all of you. Spare parts, collected and given new life. Vasilka, what is your purpose? My purpose is to be married. I am to be married. Vasilka, who will your husband be? My husband will be Strahd, the lord of these lands. Vasilka will be his wife. Good. Very nice, Vasilka. You are doing so well.
You hear Sarkis like let out another big gulp like during that.
Did Vasilka have a different name before you made her?
All creatures have a name in life.
What was hers?
We dug up a body. Why would I know?
What was her name?
Just hear from behind you all as the screech comes back. This is slow. Over the next 10 minutes, as Cloven walks back inside, and then he starts to go back down towards the basement, and every few seconds the screeching is cut by thunk, thunk, thunk. And after about 5 minutes, he gets down to the basement, hear the screech again, and eventually he'll walk back upstairs.
Answer my question. What was her name?
What would you care for her name to have been? It doesn't matter. She was dead. I can tell you anything.
What was her name?
Silence. You're going to lose your voice. You can't speak. Sarkis, would you care to enjoy some of your stew? No, now, how do you enjoy the vegetarian stew?
It's good.
Do I like see him cast a spell or anything like to silence Eric, or what do I see?
You would only see the verbal component of him saying silence, and then Eric gets quiet.
Okay, I got you. I'm starting to get the picture here, but still many questions I have. Do you, well, your intentions are clear, but uh, do you mean to deceive the devil into marriage, or is this an arrangement?
It is a goal to hopefully find that with undeath and undeath, a marriage can get beyond the death of a loved one. Hopefully we can satiate the Dark Lord of these lands and free all of those souls that are trapped here. And then he's going to look towards Eric, and if it costs a few dead, maybe that will be a sufficient cost to pay for all those who still live. What do you think? And he'll just kind of drop his head a little bit, and you can make noise again.
I think you're a monster.
Perhaps sometimes a monster is necessary to destroy a monster.
I'm curious. Where do you gain these powers, or the knowledge to do the things you do? Is it natural or through magic? A stone, perhaps?
I have been experimenting for quite some time in the art of creating golems. One might say that I have written a book about it. But perhaps there was always a missing component. It's made a vile child or a mutated second head. Things that could not be overcome. Maybe the solution was always just a glass of wine away. Have you ever enjoyed the Champagne de l'Estampes? I have one of the last barrels that the Martikovs ever vinted.
I've had it before with the Mardikovs. Unfortunately, I am cursed in this life to never taste. And he'll like kind of like sniffle, and you could tell he like can't breathe through his nose or anything. So while I do use sustenance for nutrients, I do not enjoy it the way that I once did or others do.
Would you care to breathe clearly, to taste and smell, as if you did not have the dark star within you?
I like look up at him when he says that. You see all, do you?
I told you before, I see everything, including Kerad within you. Your soul is tarnished and you fear me? You are the one who brings a dark god into the temple of the Morning Lord.
If you see all this, if you know, why are we here?
Are you not already knowledgeable about that? Was it not clear enough to you to realize that one purpose and another must thwart one purpose or the other? Placate the Dark Lord, or retrieve what you search for. They are mutually exclusive. Has it not dawned on you that perhaps the dark power within you is pulling you to an evil end?
I have felt its pull, felt it grow stronger in time, but I do not give in. I will not give in.
He's going to raise his hand up towards Vasilka. He's going to look towards her and just, Vasilka, would you be so kind as to dance to your brother's music? And she's just going to stand, and you'll see as she like does a few like very awkward steps. Eventually she actually gets to a point where she starts to actually spin, and she holds like an incredible spin, and it seems inhuman how long she can spin for. I don't think it would be surprising to anybody at this point to understand what's going on. Do
Do I?
you go ahead? What question do you have?
This is out of character. Do I know this as I'm observing and just staring darts at him? Basically, do I notice any sort of amulet or symbol that is glowing or looks like a source of magical power?
I mean, he's got a symbol of the Morning Lord on him, not necessarily glowing.
Okay.
And I know he mentioned the Morning Lord a couple times. Would we have heard that before or be familiar with it?
It's the same symbol that you would see on Father Petrovich, the same symbol that you would have seen on, damn, I can't think of his name offhand, but the father in Barovia. There's literally two gods in Barovia. the Morning Lord, and Night Mother.
Okay, I got you. So it's like a like god slash deity type deal.
Yep.
So you have seen our past, our journey. What lies before us?
Choices always cloud the future. The past is clear because choices have been made. Morning Lord is always willing to show such things. You want Vasilka. The devil needs Vasilka. My life's work is trying to save those who still live and breathe from the devil of these lands. Morning Lord's work. And Vasilka, in all her beauty, is that.
Can I like insight check? Is this dude evil or like do I get like an idea?
I mean, you damn well know I don't do good or evil. There's a fine line between the two of them being the exact same thing. What are you trying to think about?
Well, I guess in the sense that like when I say good and evil, I mean like alignment with Strahd. You know, Strahd being evil, obviously. Is he like with Strahd when he's like keeps saying like this, or is he like against Strahd?
You could roll like a history or an insight. You'd probably be able to feel a vague understanding that perhaps this is somebody who's tried to make a deal with Strahd in the past. It's not necessarily clear how he might work for Strahd or with Strahd, but it seems at least somewhat evident that if this person is hoping to save the people of Barovia by giving Strahd his Tatiana, that he may have gone through a very similar conversation with Strahd as you all did when this all began and you first went to Ravenloft. Strahd wonders if the only way for him to get free of this place is to get Tatiana to fall in love with him. And this might simply be the abbot's attempt at that.
How tall are the back of the chairs? Just questioning.
How tall do you want it to be?
Uh, just mm, just like a standard chair, nothing too, not a big high chair.
Sure, they're that tall.
I'm not convinced that our goals don't align in some weird way. Perhaps we could be of use to each other. You know that we seek two things: the wizard stone, the final stone, and also Enrichten. Perhaps you could help us find those things.
I don't recognize this name, Van Richten. I would be of no use there. I have to be clear here, like out of character. Are you unsure where the stone is right now?
Well, what I've gotten so far is that it might be inside of the girl.
Where has every other stone been right now that you guys have found?
Inside of like a weird construct, the creature.
Okay, good. So you know where the stone is.
I mean, I like kind of got the impression, but at the same time, I'm kind of like trying to go with what's going on here too. So, you know what I mean? But I wasn't
Yeah.
like 100% sure. I was more like 50/50 slash 75%, 25%.
Yeah, out of character though, you know enough at this point that he's basically said, if you guys want what you're here for, Vasilka has to die, and I can't placate Strahd. And you guys want to damn all of the people of Barovia. Like that's essentially what he said without going into all of those words. Because you guys have had that kind of like almost just under the table, like a thinly veiled conversation about the costs of these different things.
Okay, yeah, I got you. I got you.
But yeah, you guys have basically, you know that those stones bring life to things that don't have life. When planted in the earth of Barovia that doesn't really grow nutritious food grew beautiful wines, like wine grapes. And when the first one was stolen, they lost the ability to grow the champagne to the stump. When the second one was stolen, they lost like their another like venting of their grapes. I can't think of it. The purple grape mash is the shit one. The dragon red, I think, was the second one. And that's when you guys found it inside of a tree like human that had basically come to life once the stone was put into it and died when the stone was removed from it. And then the second time that you all came in contact with the stone, it was inside the hut of Baba Yaga, and the hut itself would walk around and attack with its branches and its veins. I like, as far as out of character goes, I think with how this conversation goes, you guys should 100% recognize that Vasilka's life is tied to that stone, and it's pretty much guaranteed that it is inside of her.
Gotcha, gotcha. I'm not convinced that we have the same means to the end, but I think we have the same end in mind, to protect and free the people of this land from the mist and the devil's control. I think that you have the people's best interest in mind, but I'm not sure that your means are the best.
Perhaps you are not sure because you understand you are no one to judge me in the course of the morning, Lord.
We are outsiders, far travelers, and I know that many come and go these lands.
Far fewer go than those who come.
I Many go, not home maybe, but I've seen quite a few come and no one escape but through death. So I can understand you probably have been working hard on your solution for a long time, but perhaps perhaps you just hadn't met the right far travelers yet, and maybe what we bring, and with your son, we can achieve this goal. But you must understand that we need stone.
And perhaps you don't understand all of the souls of the procession of the dead, all of your friends who are trapped to wander nightly into Ravenloft. Perhaps they, too, would like to be freed.
Because I worship the Morning Lord is my faith, what do I know about him?
It's effectively just a dawn god. Um, it's one of those things that you are literally in a place where there is no sun. When they talk about the Morning Lord, it's that continual hope that there is a fresh new day. But other than that, it's a very vague religion, kind of hope and just holding on to freedom. Like, it's pretty simple.
So safely assume that he is not really following the teachings of the Morning Lord.
I disagree. I feel like it's pretty regular for a child to 100% misunderstand their parents. Your character has like a tortured past backstory. That's perfectly functional. This guy does things that are very similar to torture and are certainly not black and white good. But it doesn't mean that what he does is evil. And he 100%, for anybody who's been outside of Barovia, wields power like a cleric. And they only gain power from a god's favor. So there's no reason for Sarkis or Nunya to think for a moment that this person is not a cleric of the Morning Lord.
Okay, tell me this, Father. I will be respectful right now. If I have been the closest experiment in creation you've had to a human, why not set the other ones who are clearly suffering free? and let them die.
Is it better to die than to have a semblance of life? They cannot leave this place. They are a danger to the living of Barovia. But just because their experiments came before you means that they are less valuable?
If they're suffering, why don't you just let their souls free and just end their lives?
I do not continue any lives beyond their means. We feed them, we house them, we do everything we can to keep them from harming both themselves and from those around.
But that is not a life. I'd rather have them die and their souls be free than have them live in cages.
And that is your choice, but it is not theirs to be made by you. Siegfried, Otto, each of them was into their 20s before they were calm and relaxed enough that they could start to go about the world and would return without harming others. If I had ended them before, how many days of freedom are worth a year's suffering?
To to live a life confined behind walls. I just that's not living at all. How do you explain the horrendous screams when that bell tolls?
Many suffer. I do not deny that they suffer. But day by day, they have a chance to find themselves healed, both within and without.
Then what happens if they find themselves? What will you do? You'll just keep them in a cage?
If they become civilized enough to leave this place, everyone in time has been granted those options. Siegfried, Otto, Clovis, yourself. Very few of you have ever became normal enough. So I think overall this is where we're going to call things. In the long run, I feel like this is a very classic debate that there's not going to be a solution for, and you don't necessarily have to see his side. You can probably rest assured he's not going to see your side, but you guys are effectively at this point debating quality of life versus like euthanasia. But again, like, you guys now know, this is somebody who has created all of these different creatures. As far as you can tell, the end game was always Vasilka. And there was always a little bit of suffering that was kind of the result. And that is effectively what you have gone through with Eric. Is like that scarring and overall like pain and suffering. Whereas Vasilka, there's something different. And you all have that idea that is something related to the gem that has prevented it. But I think we are going to pick up with this kind of tension here. And I would say, on some level, part of what you all should decide amongst yourselves is